Shedeur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback drafted in the 5th round, became the central figure of the Browns' comeback victory over the Green Bay Packers, without ever taking a snap. The Browns entered the 4th quarter trailing 10-0. Veteran quarterback Joe Flacco and the offense had struggled, producing little momentum and creating frustration among fans. The game appeared headed for another disappointing finish. The turning point came when safety Grant Delpit intercepted a pass, giving the Browns possession. But what caught national attention was not the interception itself, but Sanders' response on the sideline. Television cameras immediately focused on Sanders as he erupted in celebration. He jumped, shouted, and moved rapidly down the bench, engaging with teammates across the roster. He was seen grabbing offensive linemen, chest-bumping defensive players, and shouting words of encouragement. His intensity and energy stood out in contrast to the flat performance of the offense to that.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Analysts and reporters later noted that Sanders' presence shifted the atmosphere. What had been a subdued sideline suddenly became energized. Coaches leaned in closer, players became more animated, and the crowd responded to the sudden surge of emotion. Sanders was not part of the offensive or defensive action on the field, but his visible leadership from the sideline drew attention for the way it changed the team's demeanor. Following Delpit's interception, Cleveland's offense began to show signs of life. The Browns managed to move the ball in critical moments, keeping the game within reach. As the clock wound down, the team positioned itself for a final scoring opportunity. With seconds left, rookie kicker Andre Smith lined up for a 55-yard field goal attempt. During this moment, cameras again caught Sanders on the sideline. Holding his helmet and reacting to every step of the process, he remained locked into the play. When Smith converted the kick, sealing a 13-10 victory, Sanders sprinted onto the field to join the celebration. His reaction, arms raised, screaming, and leaping into teammates, quickly became the defining image of the game. The clip spread rapidly on social media. Within minutes, Sanders was trending across platforms as fans and commentators circulated the footage of his sideline leadership and post-kick celebration. ESPN and other sports outlets replayed the scene repeatedly, identifying Sanders as the emotional centerpiece of the Browns' win. The focus on Sanders highlighted qualities rarely attributed to a rookie backup quarterback. His energy, leadership, and ability to rally teammates without playing it down underscored his growing influence within the organization. For a player who entered the league as a mid-round draft pick, the moment marked a significant step in shaping his reputation as more than a developmental project. While the box score credited Delpit for the interception and Smith for the game-winning field goal, the broader story quickly became Sanders' impact from the sideline. His visibility, leadership, and emotional spark turned what looked like a routine regular season game into a national talking point. Let that sink in. One moment of raw emotion, and now the entire city is asking, why isn't this guy starting? It's not just fans tweeting memes anymore. It's analysts on national TV asking serious questions. ESPN's doing side-by-side leadership montages. Fox Sports is breaking down his sideline body language like it's game film. Some reporter even asks Flacco how it feels to have the backup get more camera time. Savage. And the Browns front office? Suddenly, they're in the hot seat. Because here's the thing. Joe Flacco isn't bad. It's just, Joe Flack. Reliable. Sturdy. The NFL's version of an old sedan with good tires and no Bluetooth. But Shedeur? He's the sports car revving in the garage. Not tested. Maybe not even ready. But you hear that engine and you want it on the highway. And the fans? Oh, they've made up their minds. They're buying Shedeur jerseys like it's Black Friday. Local bars rename their happy hours after him. There are murals popping up in Cleveland with his face next to slogans like, "Let him cook," and "QB1 Energy." Civic leaders are tweeting support. Entire city council members are quoting his sideline speeches like gospel. The Browns haven't seen this kind of emotional fan ignition in years. And it's not because of a stat line. It's because of a feeling that maybe, this kid is different. Inside the locker room, players start dropping subtle quotes. Shedeur's got that dog in him. He's a real leader. He brings the juice. Coaches get asked about his presence in every single press conference, and every time, it's the same tightrope answer. We're excited about Shedeur's development. Joe is still our guy. But we love what Shedeur brings to the table. Translation? We hear you. But we're terrified of the internet right now. And honestly fair. Because this is what the NFL does best, turns moments into movements. The league has always been part sport, part soap opera. And in this week's episode, Shedeur Sanders just became the unlikely heartthrob protagonist. Let's be clear. No one's saying he's ready to win the Super Bowl tomorrow. But readiness? That's never stopped fans before. They don't care if he's a fifth-round pick. They want to believe. And belief is dangerous when you mix it with hype and a thirst for change. So what happens next? Well, the Browns have a decision to make. Do they ride the safe option with Flacco? Or do they take a gamble on a rookie whose leadership might outweigh his inexperience? There's no easy answer. But as game day against Detroit looms, it's clear the pressure's mounting. Social media doesn't forget. The cameras will be watching that sideline like hawks. If Flacco so much as trips tying his cleats, you know the chants are coming, we want Shedeur. It's not just football anymore. It's culture. It's community. It's vibes. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a mood. A spark. A symbol that maybe, finally, something different is happening in Cleveland. And whether he starts next week, next month, or next season, one thing's already certain. He's not going back to anonymity. Not after this. The city's seen what he brings. And the Browns? They might not be able to put that genie back in the bottle. So here's your Hollywood ending, or maybe your cliffhanger. A fifth-round pick, igniting a comeback with nothing but vibes and volume, turning an entire franchise's emotional compass in one viral burst of passion. No touchdown pass. No stat padding. Just heart, hype, and a city that's starving for a hero. Will the Browns take the leap? Or will Shedeur's story become yet another what could have been in the NFL's endless cycle of safe decisions? You tell me. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Shedeur start now, or are the Browns right to slow play it? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you want more weekly breakdowns of football's wildest twists, meltdowns, and viral moments. Because let's be real, this isn't just sports anymore. This is cinema. Let's not kid ourselves. What Shedeur Sanders did on that sideline wasn't just some flashy, meme-worthy outburst. It was something bigger. Something organic. The kind of moment you can't script, can't coach, can't fake. You either have it or you don't. And when the Browns needed life, desperately needed life, he gave it to them without even stepping onto the field. Now that's power. Think about what that says. Shedeur didn't throw the game-winning pass. He didn't call the play. He didn't kick the field goal. And yet somehow, when the clock hit zero and the city of Cleveland collectively lost its mind, his name was the one on everyone's lips. That's a whole different kind of influence. That's the kind of intangible that front offices don't know how to measure. You can't chart it on a stat sheet. You just feel it. And that's where the Browns front office now finds itself, caught between spreadsheets and spirit. Because you know the execs are sitting in a room, crunching numbers, watching tape, asking all the classic questions. Is Shedeur's arm NFL ready? How's his pocket presence? Does he know the playbook front to back? Can he read complex coverage? Valid questions. Totally fair. But none of them explain why 70,000 fans were buzzing from the moment he yelled on that sideline. Why sales for Browns merch with his name exploded by Monday morning. Why local reporters can't stop talking about his leadership and it factor, even though he didn't play a single snap that night. Because we're not talking about analytics anymore, we're talking about emotion. Momentum. Coach. And if you think that stuff doesn't matter in the NFL, you haven't been paying attention. Look around the league. Teams rise and fall not just on talent, but belief. Belief in a system. Belief in a guy. Belief that this time, things will be different. And right now, Cleveland believes in Shedeur Sanders. You've got veterans in the locker room talking about him like he's already the guy. Not because of his stat line, but because of how he talks to teammates. How he commands respect without demanding it. How he shows up early, stays late, and has that look in his eye like he's already written his own underdog movie in his head and just needs the chance to act it out. And let's be honest, Cleveland eats that underdog narrative up like stadium nachos. This is a city built on heartbreak. On almost. And maybe next year's. And now here comes this kid, Deion Sanders' son, no less, 5th-round pick, not expected to start, rallying the team in real time with nothing but adrenaline and presence. Of course they're obsessed with him. How could they not be? But here's the plot twist. The Browns don't want to rush it. They're trying to stay patient. Focused on development. They've got Joe Flacco in place. A steady hand, playoff experience, a guy who's been through the wars. He's the sensible option. The reliable one. But sensible isn't always what wins you games, or fans. Because no matter what the coaching staff says at pressers, the vibe has shifted. Every practice Shedeur walks into now has eyes on him. Every backup drill he runs gets filmed from 3 angles. Every throw? Dissected. Every smile? Analyzed like he's running for office. And that pressure? It doesn't seem to faze him one bit. He wants it. You can feel it in how he talks to the media. Cool, focused, humble but confident. He says all the right things. I'm here to learn, Joe's doing a great job, I'll be ready when my number's called. But you also see it. The fire behind the eyes. The guy knows this is his moment, even if it's not technically his moment yet. And you know what makes it even more cinematic? The city itself has wrapped itself around him like he's already the franchise face. We're talking billboards, murals, pop-up events. Browns fans are showing up in Shedeur merch like they're part of a new age movement. You've got teenagers posting TikToks about how Shedeur is him, and 50-year-old dads with Shedeur bobbleheads on their dashboards. It's not just fandom anymore, it's faith. Because Shedeur represents something the Browns haven't had in a long, long time. A reason to hope. And hope is contagious. Even beyond Cleveland, the sports world is watching. Other teams are whispering, are they really going to keep him on the bench? Former players are tweeting things like, let the kid cook. Commentators can barely contain their excitement when his name comes up during broadcasts. Everyone sees it. Everyone feels it. But then comes the real test. Game day versus Detroit. Flacco's starting as expected. But let's be real, the crowd isn't just watching the game. They're watching for Shedeur. Every stalled drive, every bad throw, every 3 and out, and the noise builds. People aren't just cheering anymore. They're chanting. It starts in one section and spreads. We want Shedeur. We want Shedeur. You hear it loud and clear through the broadcast. The kind of chant that makes coaches flinch and execs sweat. Because now the choice isn't just about football. It's about optics. About pressure. Do you stay the course with the guy who's supposed to be a bridge? Or do you hand the keys to the future and pray the moment doesn't swallow him whole? It's a gamble either way. Let him play too soon, and you risk derailing his development. Hold him back too long, and you risk losing the locker room, the fans, and momentum. And in the NFL, momentum is the closest thing to magic. But maybe, just maybe, Shedeur is the kind of player who thrives on chaos. Who doesn't need a perfect plan or timeline? Who just needs a chance? Because let's not forget, this is a guy who's been under pressure since high school. The son of a legend. The cameras have always been there. The expectations have never been low. And yet here he is, rallying an NFL team from the sideline, going viral without a stat line, and capturing the soul of a city without even taking a snap. That doesn't happen by accident. That's not PR. That's not hype. That's energy. That's leadership. That's something real. So whether he starts next week or sits for the season, one thing's for sure, Shedeur Sanders just flipped the script on Cleveland football. He's not just a backup. He's a cultural shift. And the Browns? They're not just playing games anymore. They're writing a story. And every great story needs a hero. So we've got Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback who didn't even play but somehow managed to hijack the narrative of an entire NFL. His energy, his sideline eruption, and that viral celebration became the thing everyone was talking about the next day. Not the pick, not the kick, Not even the comeback. Just him. That tells you something right there. The moment may have belonged to the Browns, but the spotlight belonged to Shedeur. And in today's NFL, that spotlight matters. Let's be real. This league isn't just about throwing spirals and running slants anymore. It's about storylines, star power, fan engagement, and selling belief. Teams want leaders who don't just move the chains, they move people. And Shedeur, whether it was by design or destiny, managed to do that without touching the football once. Now, you think that kind of buzz goes unnoticed? Not a chance. By Tuesday, every national talk show was dissecting him. Was his leadership real or performative? Should a fifth-round rookie be acting like the face of the franchise? Is this the next coming of a young Cam Newton, or just an overly hyped moment? And while the analysts argue, Browns fans already made up their minds. They don't care what round he was drafted in. They don't care if he hasn't thrown a pass in an NFL regular season game yet. They saw something. They felt something. And in Cleveland, a city that has survived more false hope than any fan base should ever endure, that's not nothing. That's everything. Because here's the thing about Browns fans. They're not fair weather. They don't jump ship at the first sign of trouble. They ride the storm year after year, heartbreak after heartbreak. And when they finally see someone who makes them feel like maybe, just maybe, the tide is turning, they hold on tight. That's what Shedeur is right now. He's not just a player. He's a symbol. A symbol that maybe the next era of Browns football isn't built on broken promises, draft busts, and half-hearted rebuilds. Maybe it's built on energy, passion, fire. The kind you can't teach. The kind Shedeur showed when he screamed his lungs out after a teammate made a play. The kind that makes his teammates rally, the fans roar, and the internet lose its collective mind. But now comes the tricky part, the fallout. Because when you ignite that kind of belief, you can't just walk it back. You can't say, well, that was fun, now go sit quietly until next season. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The genie is out of the bottle. The kid is out of the box. And if the Browns don't handle this carefully, they risk one of two things happening. One, they wait too long. They try to ride the Flacco train into the postseason, or worse, flame out trying, and the energy around Shedeur fizzles out. The fans get cynical again. The momentum dies. Or two, they cave too soon. They start him in desperation, under too much pressure, with too little prep, and he struggles. The media turns. The fans panic. And the story becomes one more chapter in Cleveland's what-if saga. So what's the move? You tell me. Do you believe in striking while the iron's hot? Do you throw him into the fire and let the kid cook? Or do you trust the slow-burn development plan and let the tension build? Because right now, this is less about football and more about timing. We've seen it before. Moments where a player steps into the light at just the right time and everything clicks. Mahomes behind Alex Smith. Brady behind Bledsoe. Even Lamar Jackson waiting behind Joe Flacco. Again, how's that for a parallel? But we've also seen the opposite. Quarterbacks thrown in before they're ready. Careers derailed before they even begin. So when Shedeur walks into the building, everyone's watching. Every throw he makes in practice. Every word he says in meetings. Every high five, every rep, every little detail. Because now he's not just the backup. He's the emotional core of this fan base, whether the coaches like it or not. And yeah, that's a lot of weight for a 21-year-old rookie. But let's not pretend he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. This isn't some wide-eyed kid overwhelmed by the moment. This is Shedeur Sanders. The same kid who grew up with the spotlight in his living room. Whose father is literally prime time. The cameras don't scare him. The noise doesn't rattle him. He's been marinating in pressure since he learned to walk. And yet, somehow, he's carved out a path that's his. He's not trying to be his dad. He's trying to be the guy, in his own way, on his own terms, with his own vibe. That's what people are responding to. Not just the talent. Not just the name. The authenticity. He doesn't talk like a robot. He doesn't give media-trained cliché answers. It's just real. And in a league full of polished brands and PR-filtered personalities, that hits. That's why his sideline celebration went viral. Not because it was flashy, but because it was genuine. It was a player reacting like a fan, like someone who cares deeply. And that, more than anything, made people believe. So what happens if, scratch that, when Shedeur gets his shot? Because let's face it, it's not a matter of if, it's when. The calls are too loud. The story is too good. The fans are too hungry. And at some point, whether it's an injury, a slump, or just the right moment, he's going to get in that game. And then, he either becomes legend, or he doesn't. But the truth is, he's already made an impact that won't be undone. No matter what happens, Shedeur Sanders has changed the feel of this Browns team. He's injected belief into a franchise built on doubt. He's given fans a reason to watch, not just the scoreboard, but the sidelines. That's rare. That's powerful. And it doesn't come around often. So as the season moves forward, one thing is clear: Shedeur is not just QB2. He's QB1 in the hearts of the city. And when the moment comes, he'll step onto that field with the weight of Cleveland on his shoulders and the full force of their hope behind him. And if he delivers? If he even flashes greatness? The league better buckle up. Because that's not just a game changer, that's a franchise definer. This isn't just another rookie moment. This is the start of something. So keep watching. Keep cheering. Keep chanting. Because Shedeur Sanders might not be the Browns starter yet, but he's already the face of their future. Now tell me, should the Browns let him take the reins now or play the long game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everything. And if you love this kind of chaotic, cinematic football energy, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next moment when the NFL gets messy, dramatic, and so much fun. Because in the world of football, moments like this don't just make headlines, they make history.